Loud. All right, so recording is now running and we can restart on the agenda following the break.
We move it to the trade activity, Mark.
Yes. So let me bring back the share screen. Up the slideshow. So we've just finished hearing from Tom. So we'll quickly go through some of the more recent trade promotion activities since our last full meeting. And then we'll talk about our trade promotion plans from March to June, just to highlight some of those things that we're recruiting for. And then looking forward into fiscal 25, because in some of those cases, we have to buy space for those shows now in order to be able to attend. So with that, so Luis Santana, he's one of the team that departed in December. And that was one of the last activities he did before he left to return back to Houston. So the VIV shows, and they have a number around the world. It started off in Europe, but they have them in Asia, Middle East, Latin America. They started off as poultry and feed shows, but it certainly expanded into a much broader area of all genetics, as well as feeds and supplements. So it's a bit of a challenging show because, as you notice the dates, that's right around Thanksgiving. So not as much of a US presence as you would typically see in a show, although that's actually a great opportunity for folks as well. We were able to recruit 4 companies. And as we do sometimes with these shows, when there's a challenge, for example, either business issues or family health issues with folks who are joining, aren't able to go to the show, but we've already gone down the track in terms of getting their materials. They've got graphics on the stand that's supporting them. They still want to be able to engage in that show. Then that's one of the benefits we were able to bring as a team, because all of us have export international business development backgrounds, is that we're able to at least help in doing what we call lead generation. In this case, leads are prospects, whether it's an end user, buyer, distributor, dealer, agent, rep, whatever. So we're able to talk to those companies who come by and are interested. We capture that information from them. We have some information on the company to help share that, so that we can move that one step closer to the company being able to speak with that potential buyer, distributor, representative in the market. So we did that for 2 of the companies. Esmilco, they do milk replacers for dairy operations, and then ABE Discovery, that's a feed supplement. Like think of it as probiotic products for animal feeds. They were not able to attend, but we did lead generation for them. And as you notice, that leads, so 78 leads in total that gets divvied up between the companies based on who the appropriate buyers are. The 2 folks who were able to attend, Gen X and Carefree Enzymes. So you see on the left, that's the representative from Carefree Enzymes, and on the right from Gen X being bovine genetics for dairy production. What we capture in each one of these shows is immediate and anticipated sales. We aggregate those 2 items together. So if you've made any deals and purchase promises right there at the show, and then your anticipated sales within 1 year following the show, what's that estimate of your sales volume that you would be doing? So $110,000, you don't expect necessarily a large dollar amount, because in some cases, this is the first time you're meeting these people. So both sides need to understand each other to get those commercial activities going, and those can take a year to upwards of 3 years sometimes to develop. But so it's important when there are sales that happen immediately at the show or we have a pretty strong feeling for what's going forward in that. So we'll look to see whether that show we continue to do, because again, just the challenge of recruiting folks for that, but it is an interesting show. And for a region that is looking to grow, and that's not just the UAE, it's not just the Gulf countries, it's also coming into India, Pakistan, and in Northern Africa, certainly Egypt. So there's a lot of folks who would come into that show as buyers in that market, just like we do for Gulf food. This is an important show for that area. So it was a good result, as we noticed from that. Moving on, the next show. And this is the challenge of having a small but mighty team, and smaller these days than we have been. Shirley Acedo is actually with a group of several companies. We have upwards of 11 Wisconsin companies represented through the people participating in a food export trade mission into Guatemala and Costa Rica. So that's where Shirley is right now. So I'll fill in for Shirley Acedo on this this activity here. This is going to Mexico City with WEDC. WEDC does a number of trade missions every year, 6 or so a year. And Mexico is a regular destination, as is Canada. China has been for several years as well. And as part of the WIAE funding, then we built into that plan to be able to work with WEDC, collaborate on a couple of trade missions that are good fits for the companies in Wisconsin. Certainly Mexico, as we were hearing, is a strong market. We were able to recruit a couple of companies for that one. Hinterland Brewing, that's a craft a brewer up in the Green Bay area. And Croy Valley, they make rubs and seasonings for barbecue. And so some of those specialty preparations that we talk about. There were 3 other companies, so 5 companies total, but we had Brucey, Dynavap, and Well-Intel. Those are manufacturing, so those are outside of the scope of what we do. But these are multi-sector missions where companies go out, and you can see on the left where they're actually, you go out and you meet with your potential distributor, you see their operations, you talk to the people, you see how they handle their customers. So that's just one step closer for you to being able to understand whether they're the right partner for you. There's quite a bit of work that happens beforehand with the Wisconsin International Trade Rep that goes from the long list of prospects into that short list. Both sides need to agree, obviously, on the meeting. And when both sides show interest. Shirley had sent a message just before this meeting this morning, and the folks at Hinterland are reporting out that they've had 3 significant connections from that mission that's going to develop some quite early business for them into that market. Hinterland, especially just because they can do contract brewing. In addition to them selling Wisconsin beers into Mexico, it's also a business opportunity to them for the other direction, because one of those folks is actually a major, and this is what the rep in the market, this is why you have these people there to help guide that. As he said, well, you know, we've got a lot of Mexican companies that are looking for other opportunities going the other direction. So if you're capable of doing that, that puts you well ahead of everybody else who's just trying to sell. Right. And that's exactly what happened in this case. They're looking to be able to do contract brewing for this company with their specialties out of Mexico into the US market. So that business, that road has 2 lanes on it, and they're traveling both of them in this. So that's some really positive results from that.
And just to underscore how wonderful and exciting this is, typically relationships of this nature and these conversations can take years to develop, and it is significant to note that this type of engagement is happening so quickly after Hinterland's first foray into the export market with this mission. So really a highlight to know.
And I would also speak to the fact that they are they position themselves now, right? They've decided, the senior leadership has said, this is something we're going to do strategically. We will be doing exports. And so they've jumped into it. They've prepared themselves so that they're ready to do that. And then you can see the results as Krista's mentioning that they're moving pretty fast. They're a new to export company, but not for long. The third activity that we'll take a look at here that was happened up through February. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button every time. Is this cheese promotion activity that we did in Thailand with with Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin and Center for Dairy Research. And Jennifer Liu, I believe you're online with us.
Yes, I can go through the project.
Please.
With this slide. Yes. So with WIE funding, first of all, I'm Jennifer Liu, an economic development consultant here for over 14 years now. And I cover dairy, livestock, and forestry products. And with WIE funding, we collaborated with Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin and led a Wisconsin cheese trade mission to Thailand at the end of January to early February. There were 5 Wisconsin cheese companies or businesses representing 13 cheesemakers that traveled us to Thailand. They were Organic Valley, Marika's Gouda, Ellsworth Creamery, Blue River Trading, and Orange Cheese. And some of you may ask, why Thailand, right? And Thailand is ranked as among the most visited cities in the world. Last year, they had 23 million visitors to Thailand. Also, Thailand is becoming a destination for international digital nomads because of the affordable cost of living, interesting culture sites, and reliable internet system. And European, Australian, New Zealand dairy products are very well represented there already. There are a lot of Spanish and Italian restaurants there among the European and international tourists. And there's also a small California cheese presence there. And Thailand also, because of this, they have experienced premium food importers and distributors with cold chain system support. And USDA FAS Thailand is very supportive of introducing Wisconsin, especially US cheese, to Thailand. Last year, they sponsored a group of Thai cheese buyers to Wisconsin and California. And as a result of that, we want to continue that momentum. So here's our trade mission to Thailand last month. We had organized 10 business sites to visit with our 5 participating companies in Bangkok and Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai is the second largest city in Thailand. We arranged 60 business matchmaking meetings for the 5 companies and also visited key importers like suppliers to 7-Eleven. And the high point of this trade mission is our technical workshop for 100 Thai cheese importers in Bangkok. And I have to say thank you, DFW, for your partnership. And they brought a chef from Wisconsin at the workshop and teaching the Thai importers how the Wisconsin cheese can be paired with the Thai food. And also Center for Dairy Research staff came along and presented the science of cheese and possible end use of Wisconsin cheese for the Thailand importers. Ministry of Agriculture of Thailand, their senior staff also attended our workshop in Bangkok. An interesting part of our event, as you see to the right of the photo, is our partnership with the Thailand celebrity chef, Chef Ian Kitachai. He is also the Iron Chef of Thailand. He came to Wisconsin last August as part of the International Chef Influencers Tour to Wisconsin. So during our trade mission in Thailand, he developed several recipes using Wisconsin cheese for our cheese workshop lunch and shared his experience about his trip to Wisconsin. The trips he visited multiple cheese manufacturers, Organic Valley, and different farms. So that was his show and tell was very effective. And our last stop was in Chiang Mai. The U.S. Consul General in Chiang Mai hosted a Wisconsin cheese reception, and she invited 100 food and hotel business owners, buyers, and social media influencers to the trip, to the party, I would say. And DFW collaborated with a local contractor and had a special Love of Wisconsin cheese campaign at a high-end supermarket in Chiang Mai called Rimping Market, as you see in the bottom of that photo. So with all this work, we had estimated export sales of $350,000 export within the next 6 to 12 months. Also, we're planning to repeat the Thailand show in May called ThaiFex with DFW and also a couple of Wisconsin cheese companies there. So that's a short brief of our Thailand cheese trade mission.
Thank you. We do really appreciate the collaboration with Dairy Farmers Wisconsin in terms of helping us get the samples and all of the collateral that you see there. We will be seeing results from that, I think, both immediate but also lasting from that group. So thanks, Chad.
Yeah, as Chad mentioned at the beginning, a trade mission like this is a lot of work, but also the partnership make it so much easier. I really want to thanks to the team from DFW to make this a success.
Excellent. What we'll do, just very quickly go through where we are right now in March. We will report out on a couple of the activities that were happening in February, right before this meeting, toward the end of February, because there were 2 more things that went on that both Shirley and Jennifer did even before this meeting. But we want to get the results coalesced and information together, and we will speak about those. But just to go through where we're headed here in the next few months, and it's a blistering schedule if you look at where it is and where we're going and who's doing what. But food and hotel, Vietnam, because as we talked about, Vietnam, important market, not just for dairy products, but across the board on those products that go for food service, industry, hotels, restaurants. And so Jennifer, working with a contractor in the area as well, but we're looking, we have 3 companies recruited for that one, but just some visibility on that show. Kazakhstan, we had, as you may remember, a group that came in during World Dairy Expo. Kazakhstan has got about $95 million worth of import or purchase of livestock and genetics for their dairy herd development. And there's also, of course, you got to feed those animals and take care of them. So the feed and supplements. We have 3 companies recruited, 3 are pending to join us on that one. So there's still some opportunities on that activity where we will go out to Kazakhstan to meet those folks and build on what we had done with the Livestock Export Association in bringing that delegation into Wisconsin in October of last year. International Food Exhibition, that follows on with the secretary-led mission that we did to the UK, where we learned about this activity, recruited 3 companies for that food trade show, and focusing on those food ingredients, crafts, beers, distilled spirits, in that area. So we've got 3 folks. So that's the first time for us doing that show. UK is not a new market, but in terms of us doing activities there, relatively new, but we're seeing some opportunities. Sartori Cheese certainly is continuing to do their work in that market, despite the fact there's a 34% tariff on their products. So everything rolling in there immediately costs 34 or 35% more than anybody else who's outside of the EU. WDC Trade Mission to Toronto and Winnipeg. Had a couple companies, but again, as we talked about, there are business challenges with some of those. So one was not able to make it, but we do have one company that's in the cheese space who will be doing that. Chad Hoffman from WDC is leading that activity, and so we'll be working, and we're working from this side and speaking with the company who's participating in that show or in that mission in that key market. There are challenges, the tariff rate quotas and all, but the local contractor has determined those folks who do hold quota who have that space to buy. And so they'll be going out, and this particular company does a lot of private label plus some other things that would fit in well with this market. Anuga Select, that's in Brazil. Second time we're doing that one, but we got two companies recruited for that show. And Shirley Acedo is leading that one. That's coming up in April. So as you can see, every month we've got folks out, or a couple times a month in some cases. USDA Agricultural Trade Mission, whenever we have folks available to do that. These are important activities for us to be able to do prospecting in markets, to meet some of our key partners, leverage what the USDA can do for us in a particular market. This one going to New Delhi in April. Krista Carnegie will be leading that, and we're in the process of supporting. We don't recruit the companies directly for that, but we support the efforts that that the USDA does in terms of bringing those companies in. So of course, anybody interested, wood products is certainly of interest, and dairy has grown up some in the market as we were seeing before on the export stats. So a bit more open, at least, to be able to take a look at that market. And then what I would call the headliner event. So Secretary-led mission to Chile, that's in May. First week or so in May. So we're recruiting. We've got 4 companies recruited, but we're still looking for 4 more to join us on that. I know, Chad, you're planning to join us with us on that, and I believe from a Cooperative Network they'll be on there. So we'll be doing some government and more promotional track meetings, as well as those specific meetings. And again, these trade missions, people are going to meet their prospective buyers. We're working with Wisconsin's trade representative in Chile, Business Hub, who will be setting up those buyer meetings, just like what you saw Shirley doing in Mexico. That's what we're doing with these folks in those product areas: dairy, food and food ingredients generally, pet foods, craft beers and distilled spirits, genetics, livestock feed products. All of those things this is a multi-sector, and there are opportunities across the board in all of those areas. Jennifer mentioned it, TIFEX, and that's part of the Anuga show. The Anuga is the major trade show in Germany, but they've got their brand on a number of shows around the world. So this is another one in Thailand, where we'll be. It's a food show, retail and food service. 3 companies are recruited for that one. Shirley, as you can see, is leading that one. And again, we cross over in the team because Jennifer's in another location at the time that's going on. And then we've got Carrefour show. Jennifer's doing that one in France. That's a wood product show. So lumber, timber, and U.S. hardwoods. It's a key market. There's a major show in France, another one in Italy, another one in Spain. Those shows are not just for that one country. They really do draw in customers from around the world. These are truly international shows. So we've got 3 hardwood companies. We also promote softwoods. We don't have as much of that, but we do have some. And so those products as well are being covered there. China Dairy Expo, we've done that show in the past. It was challenging during COVID. Normally that show is done by local distributors of companies who have established who are established in market. So we've got 5 companies recruited for that, and it's broad across the product areas that we're doing. And Jennifer Liu, I believe this time we'll be able to actually travel. It's been years since we've been able to do that for all the reasons that we've read about in the news in China. And then something that came up relatively quickly, and this is again the advantage of the WIAE funds. It's given us this flexibility to be able to respond to nearer term opportunities, and this is one of those where the U.S. Dairy Export Council, in collaboration with the USDA Foreign Agricultural Service, is doing a mission. They call it a fact-finding mission into Beijing and Shanghai. In China at end part of June, so it's a rapid, winding up the fiscal year, and we're looking for, and it's members of the U.S. Dairy Export Council, so not just any dairy companies out of Wisconsin, but those companies who are, and there are several, to be able to go to that market. So some of that's being able to speak with officials, being able to see the market, understand what's happening there, see what the opportunities are, and we'll bring that information back to the industry then to share with them what our learnings are from that, but as well. Everyone who's there, even though it's fact finding, there's still opportunity to do sales. there are still people looking to promote the products and to be able to do that. And so we'll be leveraging that, those connects.
With Dairy Farmers membership at USDEC, we also have the ability to get membership or the smaller cheese companies without having to pay the fees. So if there are cheese companies out there that are interested in this, that aren't members of USDEC, reach out to us.
Great, good, excellent point. So that we're able to
Get more
leverage
exposure, more people, yeah.
And that's what they do want. They want that breadth of, from the really big folks to the small to midsize, to promote. There's a Africa Food Trade show. So we've been to Kenya. We did that USDA mission. Secretary Romansky there with the National Association of State Departments of Agriculture, the NASDA mission that was there. So we've identified the U.S. has identified that as a key market, but we also see that as an opportunity market for us. They're looking to improve the dairy herd of theirs and their industry overall. But that also is a conduit for us then to be able to sell some of the more value add dairy products, as well as some of those higher end products for that segment of the society, but also the genetics, livestock feed, supplements, that side of the production area. And they've had a drought there, so there's also needs. And now that they're able to accept non-GMO or GMO products than soybeans, corn, some of that for feed, human consumption, et cetera. Those are now opening up opportunities. So we want to be on the front end of that opportunity in Kenya. So Shirley Acedo doing that. That's in July as we've rolled now into fiscal 25. USDA trade mission to Bogota, Colombia. That's an important market for us, has been for a long time, one of the major economies. So we're looking to recruit 2 companies for that one. I'll take the lead for that activity that's happening toward the end of July into August. The America's Food and Beverage Show in September, again, another opportunity that came up relatively recently for us. The National States NASDA, Departments of Agriculture, they have what's called a Taste of the States Pavilion. So more promotion of the agricultural products and food products within the state. So we have a stand there. We're looking to recruit 4 food and beverage product associations. So folks like Dairy Farmers Wisconsin, the Cranberry Association, Wisconsin Potato and Vegetables. So those ginseng, those groups would be the ones we'd look to come there, talk about our industry overall, talk about their industry specifically rather, and then have samples of what those products are for the visitors. That show is really, it's in Miami, but it really focuses on Latin America and the Caribbean. A lot of folks from that area come to Miami on a regular basis anyway, so that's a good location to do that show. You had a lot of Latin American countries in one shot. In addition to that, we're looking to, because there's buyer speed dating essentially. So within the context of the trade show, a lot of buyers are coming. So organizations working with the USDA and the NASDA bring those buyers, let them know that folks companies who are able to sell products are available to meet with them. And so we're looking to recruit companies, whether they're exhibiting or attending already, or to work with them to come down. Will help to cover the cost of getting them into that session to meet their prospective buyers, and then be able to do some business. So a way to be able to hit that show without having to stand and meet buyers, which is what the whole idea of the thing is in the first place, is to meet those buyers. So that's an activity coming up in September. So we're just beginning the recruiting on that, but it's good to start now to be thinking about it for folks' schedules. World Dairy Expo, we've got the Global Dairy Summit planning. That's a marquee event that we're looking to do to invite global leaders in and be able to talk about the dairy industry, and not just cheese and dairy processing, but also dairy production. So what are the inputs looking like? What does the marketing look like? What are the trends and consumer trends around the world looking like? So that's the purpose of that. We're bringing in some international speakers at a quite a high level, as well as from the US. That was we had a similar event that year before last. well attended. And so the opportunity then there, it does highlight Wisconsin. We're able to chance to promote ourselves a bit in that activity as we're providing the information to the attendees broadly at the show. And then the dairy, livestock and genetics, U.S. exporter and importer seminar. So that's more of a nuts and bolts session for those folks in the market who are either exporter or importers. We did this just last year. We had 2 sessions. We're combining that into one. And we're recruiting up to 10 companies from Wisconsin to be able to, within the context of that meeting, they can have tables set up with information around their products. So those folks who are coming in are prospective buyers of those folks who would be promoting. So what we want to do is provide information. So the real purpose for folks to be there is to learn about the issues, opportunities, systems, processes around importing and exporting of livestock and genetics primarily. But then within the context of that, they're able then to meet their prospective suppliers around that. So a way to provide a benefit to those folks attending, but also a venue for our companies to promote. International Dairy Federation Global Dairy Summit. We did that in Chicago. It was the first time it was in the US in 30 years. See the benefit of being able to meet with, and there are 12 to 1,500 attendees from the industry, and a lot of those folks are producers. And so again, the opportunity to promote genetics, livestock, feed, supplements, all those things that we have been doing, plus our dairy industry overall. It's right before the CIAL show in Paris. So to attend that meeting, to promote Wisconsin, to do that, and then some of the folks will stay on because we've got quite a large presence actually in at the CIAL show. And we're recruiting 5 companies. We've actually got additional space available on that show. So we had a couple of dairy companies. We're looking to bring in a couple more dairy companies, as well as we've got space for 3 companies. We've got some stand space in another hall that's more what's called the Fine Foods Hall, but that opens it up for more of the other product areas that are not dairy. The dairy companies will be in that dairy hall, in that dairy section. So right there with their competitors. They're the folks to go head to head with some of the folks in the market. So that's happening toward middle to end of October. And then rounding out the year, the USDA agricultural trade mission to Morocco. We've done some other work in that market previously. And so what we're looking to do is build on that, leverage what the USDA can do for us in the Foreign Ag Service in terms of their activity. We'll work with USDA to recruit a couple of companies from Wisconsin to participate in that. Dairy, certainly the dairy products, the value add dairy products are important, but again, they're looking to improve their dairy herd for fluid milk in that market. So livestock, feed, genetic supplement, as we've talked about in these other shows, we'll do it here. We're looking then to build onto that and to have a session where we're promoting and providing information on genetics, on animal nutrition, on animal care for the producers in the market. So providing that technical information and that benefit, and then in addition, be able to promote the products, just like we're doing in that importer exporter seminar at World Dairy Expo, something similar, but specific for those producers in that market. So we'll add a couple days on to the USDA mission to be able to have a Wisconsin specific activity going on. So we're recruiting companies in that space. And again, that would be around the dairy products as well as the livestock food genetics. And this is the team that does it. And as you notice in bold red at the bottom, we are recruiting for 2 international consultants. So spread the word, please, for everybody that you know. But Jennifer Liu, who you heard from, spoke to us here before. Shirley Acedo, who's traveling. Amy Kennedy, not in the room with us here, but she's doing a lot of the work and helping us keep the wheels on the buggy, keep all the processes moving, and a lot of that work that needs to get done back here at home and around that reporting. So that's where we are. You
have 30 seconds to give like an overview of, I mean, what skill sets you're looking for those people?
Absolutely. Thanks. We'll do that. So what we look for are folks who, first and foremost, doesn't necessarily have to be an agricultural background or even a food export background. We're looking for folks that have some understanding of, some work in international business development, international sales, and marketing, in those areas. But also folks who have some experience in doing events, bringing not just yourself traveling and only meeting that one-to-one customer, but also whether it's bringing in customer groups and doing those events inbound here, or maybe taking groups of distributors and customers outbound and working with that. And then some of that's around the reporting on those activities, and some of that reporting to senior leadership on your programs. And so those kinds of backgrounds are really what we're looking for in those roles. Doesn't need to be someone with 20, 30 years of experience, but we want some folks who have a bit of background and able to do that. But it's fairly open, and it's not specific to any one product area. We've opened these roles are opened up to a broad range of backgrounds and that understanding of how to work with the international customers.
Thank you.
And what I mentioned before we hit the record button, and I'll share it now that we are recording, and for those who may have joined since we got back, we will share the application link with everybody on this council. Please share that with your networks, or if you have somebody identified that you think, oh, that might be somebody, let them know about it.
Excellent.
We appreciate that.
Thank you. And I just saw in the chat, so Jackie Fett had put in that Ginseng Board Wisconsin will be doing on the USDA trade mission to New Delhi. And we had done an earlier project there actually, because there's a lot that they do with traditional medicine, the Ayurvedic medicine. And so ginseng is a natural fit within that. So the opportunity to maybe some more ginseng from that functional health side, continuing opportunity.
I think one of the biggest learnings that our team has had in the last 12 months is the amazing resources of the USDA on ground, FAS on ground. We found that when you connect with those people, they make stuff happen. They really, have the connections, they have the insights, and on the ground, they are spectacular in our experience of driving business and helping.
Thank you. We acknowledge that too, but it's always great to hear it from outside perspective as well.
It is an amazing resource. So with that, Katie Sinnott, I'm not seeing all the screen of who's on at the moment, but are you?
I'm here.
Excellent.
I am here. Thank you.
Very good. So turn it over to you.
Thank you. Mark, can you go to the next slide, please? So I'm going to give a real brief overview of our IMAG program, the International Market Access Grant that the WIAE is collaborating with WEDC on. And then I'll cover our fiscal 25 trade missions and show you my team. So the International Market Access Grant is a really great program that all companies in Wisconsin who have 35% inputs to their product from Wisconsin can access. This program has a really incredible ROI. So for every dollar that WEDC or DATCAP invests in this program, we get almost $10 back in export sales. So it's an incredibly powerful program. And we find too that almost 30% of the companies that participate in the IMAG program also are hiring more people or they're retaining their staff. So it's really great. One of the changes that we did make this year is we've gated the submission of applications for the IMAG. So we had one in the fall that closed the end of October. And then if there were funds remaining, we opened again just now until March 15th. And we have about $110,000 currently available. And what that has done for us is instead of waiting until the end of the year to get all of those applications in, we now have received 50 applications versus 27 at the same time last year. The benefit to the company is that they get into the program earlier and they have a longer time to complete their project. Because if they were to come in at April, then they only have until the end of 2024 to finish their project. Now they have much more time to do it. So that's a pretty exciting change that has occurred on the IMAG program. As I mentioned, the application window does close in 10 days. So if anyone out there is looking to apply for an international market access grant, now is the time to get in. Next slide.
Great, and just Katie, real briefly on the grant description, the product requirement, I think is 35% cost content.
It's 30% match and 35% input. Oh yeah, I say 3%. That is a typo. It is not 3%. It is 35%. Thanks for catching that, Mark.
Like the 5, so I got a regular.
Right.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. So we have surveyed all of our companies that we work with in all of our trade programs, including the Export Tech program and the IMAG program and the trade missions, and asked them where they are most likely to go or would like to go this year. And so that's how we determine our trade mission schedule, in addition to always going to Canada, Mexico, and China as our top export destinations. Typically, our trade missions are a little bit different than debt caps in that we are doing primarily one-on-one business meetings for the companies that are traveling with us. We have 2 exceptions in fiscal 25. The first is the Farnborough Air Show in the UK, and the second is in the UAE, where we're going to Arab Health. All of the other trade missions are multi-industry, and agriculture companies and food preparation companies are welcome to attend any of those missions with us. What's exciting about the mission is that they are subsidized for attendees at about 75%. So the typical cost is around $2,000 to $4,000, depending on where we are going. And all a business has to do is be ready to sell their product. We provide interpreters, transportation to and from meetings, we arrange hotels, and we arrange all intra-country transportation for all the companies with us. So it's a great opportunity for companies to go in country, learn about those countries, but in a more structured environment. And I always think of one of my colleagues, Francisco Carrillo. He used to be in sales for many, many years. And he said, if anyone told me I could pay $2,500 and go to another country and meet 10 or 15 companies that have been pre-vetted by somebody, I would go in a flash, because those leads are really difficult to get. And our international trade representative network is excellent at setting up those meetings. The only other thing I wanted to mention, you can go to the next slide. Go ahead and change, Mark. Oh, there you go. Thanks. I was going to comment here, this is my team, but in addition to this team, there are many people at WEDC focused on putting food in Wisconsin on the national and the international scene. So I wanted to highlight that WEDC is a sponsor for Wisconsin Foodie. So that's a television show that talks all about Wisconsin food products, whether it be cheesemakers or restaurants or innovative food production companies. So that's one area where we promote food from Wisconsin. The other is Top Chef. We were able to attract Top Chef to Wisconsin, and many of the shows that the show will kick off in about 2 or 3 weeks. And many of the shows have been filmed here in Wisconsin, and we're hoping that that again puts Wisconsin on the map, not only for our food production, but for our chefs and all of the fresh and wonderful ingredients that come from the state. And I'll leave it there.
Thanks a lot, Katie.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, yes. Good point. Were there any questions from folks online or in the room for Katie?
None.
All right, hearing none. Next point on the agenda, I think, is to
Our next meetings, right?
yeah, so we're looking at the next two meetings. We've got the webinar, informational webinar that's planned for 10th of July. Topic yet to be confirmed, so I think as we've done in the past, to provide any feedback to Chad or send to me in terms of what an interest, topic of interest would be for the group. We like to be able to make some practical information that exporters within the group, the council and those who would be joining be able to use. And we could also spend some time talking about the events that I just mentioned earlier that we had done in February, March, and some results from that. We have in the past also spoken about some export expansion grant projects. So those who are at a point to be able to share what their results are from their expansion grants, then that's an opportunity as well. And then the next full council meeting, as we're keeping our March and September dates, and those really align with when we have the data from US Census to be able to talk about our exports, either the year end, which we're able to talk about in March, or the 6 months results that we're able to talk about in September. So that's the timing that we look to do that. That's set up for the 18th of September, and we would start just as we others at 9 a.m. And then discussion for future topics.
Yeah, I think we need, I know we've got a relatively thin board attendance today, so I think we should. But I think we need to figure out what topics are there out there that are of interest to make sure we continue to be relevant and meaningful, because everybody's time is really valuable. I think there's a lot of topics out there that meet the criteria, but we want people on the board and people listening in to let's lean in and what areas do we really want to cover? I think, one topic that's been bouncing on the back of my mind is actually USDA and the FAS and what do they do and how do we, as an organization and as exporters, how do we as companies really lean in and tap into that resource better? I think it's kind of a mystery and unknown to too many people out there.
If I can just jump on that topic, this is Craig. I think that's a great topic. Actually, I mentioned earlier in the meeting that we've been pushing on our exports and growing our exports. That's been a major focus for us this year and end of last year. And we've actually leaned quite a bit on USDA. In fact, we attended some trade shows overseas that were hosted by USDA, organized by USDA, and found them extremely helpful. So I think that's a great topic.
And we did, we had the Economic Research Service folks present out of USDA, but it's such a huge organization, a lot of different areas. But I think FAS, to zero in on them, and they also have a credit program. We had that session that was on
That was great.
credit finance. Well, there's a program, the GSM 102 program that's in, which we didn't speak about on that one, just to zero in on XM and the other programs, but that would be one of those that we could include into that session and to speak about what FAS does and then what the GSM does to be able to round that out, because there was some mention of that to understand the USDA products or services. Great, noted.
And Larry brought up intermodal before. Ellie and I talked at the break that we could reach out to DOT and see if they had some thoughts and concepts that they'd be willing to share.
That'd be wonderful.
No.
All right, but I
don't
do.
know. This is Jackie from the Ginseng Board. I don't know if this would be something others would be interested in, but our industry is a lot of hand labor, hand weeding, that sort of thing. And if there's a resource that could talk about how to get some research on, using artificial intelligence to improve crop production and that sort of thing.
So the other AI, not
Yeah.
artificial insemination, but artificial intelligence.
There is an AI task force that's been started through the Department of Workforce Development that we could see if they've got some details that they're able to share right now. It just started up a little while ago, but we can check with them on what, if anything, they have.
Also, the Cranberry Association use a lot of AI to do research and planting. We can also introduce you to Tom Lochner, the executive director of the Cranberry Association.
Yeah, just a general overview of how it's being used in agriculture, I think would be really interesting. But if others don't find that interesting, that's fine too.
I find it interesting. I just want to make sure we stay in our lane in terms of how does it really drive exports as opposed to production.
Sure.
For us, we are export market, so I guess that's, yeah.
Sure. Is it helping to reduce costs so that you're able to, which
Make
essentially
more money. Yeah, exactly.
on intermodal, but, and we chose the one date in July for, webinars, and we did want to, keep those. I think we were looking to do 3, maybe.
Year, yeah.
So if there's enough interest in whether there's a standalone opportunity, whether that's intermodal, one of these others, we could take a look at doing that, too, or we could extend the time that the webinar does, but.
Noon and Randy, you need to slide away.
I do, yes, but these are great topics, so thanks for the feedback. Eileen is here to kind of be part of any follow-up discussion, so thank you, everybody. I'm off, and please continue.
Thank you.
That was the last piece of the agenda.
Right.
Up there. My work here's done.
If there are no more suggestions, and obviously, as people think of them, send them over to Chad, send them over to me. As always, in terms of not whatever emails that might go out, I think we normally blind copy through those. So, but if there's any more than 8 people that are from the council that are voting members on an email, that ends up being a meeting that needs to be noticed. So just to be careful on those kind of discussions, which we're used to doing that, just grabbing a bunch of folks together, but we can channel through Chad or into us to be able to do that.
I'm thinking about the discussion about production agriculture, and talking about AI, and livestock, the tagging system, and I mean, that's coming not only in wood products, but it's coming across the board, and it's a problem for smaller hog producers, you name it. Maybe a discussion about how that can be facilitated or how we can help. Because I think that's a coming thing that's going to be happening all over the export industry. It's not just wood, it's going to be in agriculture. And where did this stuff come from? They're already discussing that at the USDA. I know that might be that would not only its production, but it's also, if you want to be shipping it somewhere, you're going to have that. And how to facilitate that, or what AI is doing to help us with that, whatever.
Sure.
Individual tagging of where that pork chop came from. Which I think is totally crazy and amazing, but that's where we're headed.
That would be really helpful for the ginseng industry too, since we have a lot of mislabeling and fraud in our industry.
Okay, so that there's the tie-in. So not only information, but also on labeling and some of that. So, boon or bane, but sure, how we can.
It's a bane, but it could be a boon too, if we're on top of it.
True. Good, all right, noted. Well.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
And
In the second, it's great.
I don't know if Representative Considine could
Do it.
It's for
Non-voting.
to be a voting member, sorry.
I can second. This is Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie.
First and second different.
Who's the first?
I can.
Larry.
Larry, yeah.
I wondered.
Who's on first?
Aye.
Any nays? All right, wonderful meeting, everybody. Wonderful job stepping in.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you so much.
Good timing.
All right, thank you.